What's going on, everybody? This is Jeff with Living in Arizona, and today we are going to talk about the subject of, is Phoenix, Arizona boring? Is Phoenix boring? Is Tucson boring? Oh my God, sorry about that, guys. The phone just went off.
Trust me, it's just this angle bad boy. And
that came at a really weird time right there. Hold on one second.
I'm not gonna lie, you guys. I searched the web for.
Let's see. There we go. Okay, sorry about that, guys. So that was not ideal that just happened. So yeah, that's what we're going to talk about in this video. Is Phoenix, Arizona a boring place? Obviously, this live feed didn't start out very boring, right? So anyways, if you're just tuning into this live feed, go ahead and smash up the likes, and let's go ahead and talk about this. Also, if you're new to Arizona and you like subject matter just like this, subscribe and turn on the bell, because that's how you get notified. So this is what's come up. People are saying that it's too hot in Arizona to really do anything but go to the mall, and that people here really put politics ahead of culture, and that like it's just too hot to really do too much outside. You can't go in your backyard when it's sweltering heat. It's not like if you're back east or in Texas or something, you kind of can go outside, but it's just humid hot. So I don't know if I agree with that, because today, for example, if you guys check our Instagram here, let me show you guys what I did today, and that way you guys can see what else there is to do. So this is my Instagram, or the Instagram for Living in Arizona. Let me get you the link. This is back behind the Saguaro Lake. So you go behind Saguaro Lake, you come out the marina, and you head towards Mesa, and you're alongside the Salt River. And that's what this link that I just showed you. So when you get a chance, check out our Instagram. It's a pretty cool driving video, but that's how it looks on the back of the Usery Mountains in Mesa. And so out there you have Saguaro Lake. You could spend the whole day out on the lake, especially if you got a water vessel, if you got a boat, if you got jet skis, you're gonna love it. If you don't have either one of those, you better get a fishing pole, but you're gonna need an umbrella. Okay, but hanging out at the lakes, there's a couple of them up there, Saguaro, and people go up there on the weekends. If you got a boat, you might as well use it. So getting a boat out here is going to be a good thing. It's going to be a good idea. Another thing that you do that's right down the road, which is a separate activity all in of itself, is go down to the Salt River. I was just down there at the Salt River. I posted a link of the Salt River, or what I saw down at the Salt River, with tubers and people, college kids and whatnot down there in our group, just hanging out, floating down the Salt River. And it was pretty nice. I mean, you see horses on the side and whatnot. So I found it to be pretty interesting activities down there. Let's see here. So 7 reasons that people think that it sucks out here. Most of these reasons, and I'm just saying this from the consensus, right? It's unbelievably hot, okay? Everything is beige. It's all one color, right? Like the houses are just beige. There's not many trees in some communities, and people don't really care for that. Mall Central, it's like, what is there to do? I don't know. Let's go to a movie at the mall, right? Let's go shopping at the mall. Traffic is, well, BITC. I won't say the last letter, but it can be a pain in the butt. But people who move out here, they'll say, it's not really that bad compared to where they came from, because they've got, 5 or 6 lanes, but everyone has to drive around here because we don't have any other public transportation solutions that most people want to take. Old Geezer's paradise. So people think because there's a lot of old folks here that it's kind of boring because of that. There is a lot of sporting events that take place here, and that can be a thing to do. And, in the summer, the only sport that you can go to is the Arizona Diamondbacks at the baseball stadium. But right now at this time of year, you could go to Arizona Cardinals training camp. But some people also don't like it here because it's a melting pot of people from all across America and all across the world. So everyone's a transient really coming here. So we've got 27 people watching and 12 people smashing up the likes. Okay, Marcelino, he says it's not boring here. The mate says, no, Florida is the granny land. A commenter says, Florida and Arizona. It's never too hot. I crushed up that like, says Sick Mitts. Thanks, man. And so let's talk about some of the other things that you can do that are not just going to the river, going to the lakes, right? If you have water recreation. One of the things that's really fun is getting like one of those sand buggies, you know, like a Polaris or something like that, and going off-roading on the Jeep trails. So you can get a Jeep Wrangler if you want the most strong vehicle, but going up into these Jeep trails is really fun. And if you get Weekend Warrior or whatever you get with the Polaris dune buggies, 4-seater, 2-seater, whatever you need, that can be really fun. I mean, that's a culture. Being active in Arizona is going to be a different change of pace from wherever you come from, because it's an acquired action. It doesn't just come natural because you're going to be doing off-roading. That's not, most people don't do off-roading unless they're from the South. Doing lots of boating activities on lakes, that's kind of a new thing for a lot of people. They're usually out on oceans, but not on lakes. Floating down the river, I guess some places do that, but that's a thing. Hiking in the desert, just exploring the desert and falling in love with the desert, that's going to be a new activity for a lot of you. You know, so it's not boring. It's just you're going to have to change up what you're doing for your activities that you're used to doing, especially if you come from a big city like New York. You can't even compare it. I mean, the food scene in New York might be, some would say the food scene in Phoenix is better than New York. Some would say the food scene in New York is way better than Phoenix. And it's just, if you're moving to the Southwest, you're going to have to start falling in love with Mexican food because that's our staple food, you know, and steakhouses, I guess you could say. We don't really get a lot of seafood out here. So if you're a seafood person, we got Crab Shack, we got Angry Crab, we got some of that stuff out here. We got Southern barbecue too, but we're far away from the ocean. So, you know, you're getting shrimps that are farmed, you're getting crabs that are farmed, you're getting farmed fish, not fresh out of the ocean so much. I mean, you can get it, but it's not going to be in abundance. Marcelino says it's a piece of calmness. Already in love with Mexican food, says Sick Mitch. That's good, yeah. Are you guys in our group living in Arizona where we post all that stuff? Because you guys are saying you guys like those posts. Love my Q horse. We 4-wheel all the time in Maine. All right, that's good. Yeah, so I mean, you're used to 4-wheeling. Do you guys have a Polaris, or what do you got? You got the Polaris RZR 2020. I mean, that's something to look into. I mean, those usually cost around $15,000 to $20,000 for a really good one, or you could get a used one. But rolling around in those, that's going to change it up for you. That's going to make Arizona exciting. Getting a boat, if you got the budget, of course. But some of the other things that people like to do on just your Arizona bucket list, right? Going to the Grand Canyon, going to Sedona, going to Monument Valley, going to Page, which is up there by, you know, that's up there by Monument Valley in Utah. Jerome, the ghost towns, you know, Tombstone, Northeast Arizona. You've got Bisbee and Tombstone, which is kind of the same thing, which is for people in southeastern Arizona. But even if you haven't, if you live in Phoenix, going down to Tucson, checking out Mount Lemmon, going to University of Arizona, checking out Kitt Peak, stuff like that. So you start to realize there's a lot more to do than just the Grand Canyon and hanging out and going to pro sports games. It's going to require you to, you know, get in your car and drive a little bit, go to Payson, go to the Mogollon Rim, check out some of these other places 3 hours away, 4 hours away sometimes. Camping, it's like I said, it's just a change of pace. So this idea that Arizona is boring, no, it's that you're just going to have to acclimate to the new environment. If you don't acclimate, you won't like it, because it's unique. There's not a lot of places in America that are considered desert cities, right? You have Las Vegas, maybe Palm Springs, maybe Phoenix, and Albuquerque. That's about it. So most of you are not coming from Phoenix areas or from desert areas. And then Canyon de Chelly, getting familiarized with the Native American history, kind of having a reverence for that, or having an appreciation for the Native American culture, the indigenous people who used to live here. It kind of becomes part of you, because then you start appreciating Native American jewelry, Native American art, and then you start having a cultural affinity with that, where they come from. And so then you can start going to Native American parades, Native American art shows, the Tucson Rock and Gem Show is a really big thing, but it is a change of pace. That is for sure. Everything is more fun with this red Solo cup. Yeah. I guess I could be drinking. Are you guys drinking something? I'm not drinking anything right now. It's 4:35 in the afternoon. I'm going live a little bit earlier than I usually do. No, it's not. Flights to Vegas, California, Utah is very cheap. Arizona is not boring. Oh, yeah. I mean, download the app Southwest. Download the app for Southwest Airlines when you get here. Like that's a must do. If you plan on going to Vegas, LA, San Diego, and you like to fly, you're going to want to fly on Southwest. Many people would even say Southwest is the best airline in the whole country. And it's basically headquartered right out of here in Phoenix. And a lot of people said that Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport is one of the most efficient, just the all around one of the best airports in all of the country. And some of the reasons, it's modern. You know, some of these old airports you go to, they're dilapidated and old. Sky Harbor is very new. It's got this new feel. Also, you can get pretty much anywhere in the world from Sky Harbor. I mean, it might be a layover in Los Angeles or something, but Phoenix, the ease of access to getting anywhere out of Phoenix is really good. So, you know, if you like to world travel and you like to get around, to, whether it be just staying in the United States or going to Cancun, next week I'm going to Cancun. I mean, if you get really bored, why don't you just get your little passport and hop your happy butt on an airplane down to Cancun for 7 days? If you're really bored, I mean, or go to Cabo or go to Rocky Point. I mean, it's like being bored in Phoenix is just a matter of attitude and perspective, and also knowing what there is to do, because once you get plugged in, it's really good. And hey, the bar scene, going out at night, hanging out at the bars is one of the, you know, we got a poppin' night scene for real. Not just Mill Avenue. You got Scottsdale, downtown Scottsdale. You got downtown Phoenix, which is pretty good. You've got bars, environments all throughout the Phoenix metro area. So pretty good. Yeah. So I was going to make another video today about I put together a vlog of Saguaro Lake, and I put together a vlog of Salt River tubing, but I'm too lazy to edit. So a lot of times when I'm going out to these places, like when I went to the water park, Big Surf, Golfland, those places with my family, when I'm going out, I'm not, that means I have to be working. I'm not hanging out. So a lot of times I'm just like experiencing it. And then once I experience it, then I can talk about it. But yeah, I mean, it's, you got to get out of the house, right? But the thing is, when I get out of the house, I'm trying to get out of the house to relax and, or like live life, right? But I'm going to do my best to get some footage for you guys from Cancun, because some of you guys are worried. Is Cancun safe? You guys have been saying that, and I don't know. We're about to find out, right? So if I come back alive, then if I come back with a pretty good experience, you guys will know if Cancun's worth it to fly 4 hours down there to the Yucatan. They call it the Riviera Maya. You know, they've got Tulum, they've got Akumal, they've got Cozumel, so many places down there. So I mean, like I said, I mean, if you get bored, just head down there, and they say that's great. You get bored, go to Vegas. You get bored, go to San Diego. I mean, how are you getting bored? What's going on? You working too much? That would be the thing. Anyways, wow, 50 people watching, 22 people smashed up the likes. So thank you to everyone who crushed up the likes already. I know a lot of you guys already did. You don't need to do it twice. But to those of you who have not, thank you to you who are going to, right? And then Scott Glick says, get some cenote footage. So for those of you who do not know what cenotes are the, good idea, Scott, by the way. They're these underwater caves. So they're like aquifers, and people scuba dive and swim in these aquifers down in the Yucatan. And that's called a cenote. It's kind of like a marshland, but it's like I don't know, is it lava rock or whatever, but you swim in these cave things, and they even have an underwater river. There's a place there called the Underwater River, and that's at Xcaret, which I'm going to also go to as Xcaret. It's like a theme park kind of area next to Tulum. Tulum's where they had the observatories for the Mayans. So Here we go. Veronica Feisen just got back from Secrets Aquamal. You will have a ball in Riviera Maya. So she's saying that Mexico, she had a good time in Mexico. There's a shop in Prescott that has butterfly knife. The even had pocket knives with names engraved on it. I got one. Okay, Team Inferno says he went up there. So for those of you who are into knives, what do they call those? Blacksmiths. If you're a blacksmith, head up to Prescott because we still have blacksmiths. I remember when I was a kid, my dad's friend's a blacksmith. You guys ever heard of Rieta Pass? His family owns Rieta Pass up in near Pinnacle Peak. It's this old cowboy frontier town. Rieta Pass was real deal, old school cowboy stuff, and he's a blacksmith. And he makes gates, like those beautiful gates that you have, those southwestern gates with like they'll put like a lizard on it or a coyote howling, and it's all made out of cast iron or whatever. But he would be in the parade, and I remember he always had the best steak. Okay, he would be coming down the parade in one of his in that big float that he had, but he was he'd be pounding silver or pounding iron or whatever he'd be doing, and he'd also be grilling steak, and they'd pass out plates of steak, and man, I don't know. They don't make steak like that anymore. They need to bring back real steak. So that was pretty good. Hello, what do you think about Avondale, Arizona? Avondale, Arizona? Yeah, I mean, it's close to the Arizona Cardinals Stadium. So it's West Phoenix. You got a mall out there. You're closer to Rocky Point than I am, being out in Southeast Phoenix, down in Mexico. Other than that, good prices of houses, but that's about it. So that's what I could say about Avondale. How do you get so much vacation time? By the looks of Island Hopper TV, it's like you're always on traveling. Well, I was traveling for a while, and I had a big video archive, so I did travel a lot, but I haven't traveled for a year. And since I've been back, I've been more domesticated, and I got pets and all that. But I'm getting ready to go back out. So I'll still be making videos for living in Arizona, I think, because I've got some vlogs that I've been too lazy to edit. Favorite parts of the valley? Well, I was just up in Mesa, northeast Mesa, I should say, in the Usury Mountains. So you have Mesa, the low-lying flatlands, right? Mesa, remember, the reason they call Mesa is because Mesa in Spanish is table, which is flats. So that's where Mesa gets its name. But once you start getting up towards the Superstitions or even towards the Usury Mountains, towards where Saguaro Lake is, it starts to head up into foothills. And I was exploring some of the brand new neighborhoods out there. I'll actually post some of these pictures and videos in our group, Living in Arizona. Let me post a link so you guys can see that for those of you who want to. Or I could try right here. But I thought it was a pretty nice community. I know they're getting ready to build some let's see if I can get let's see. I want to show you guys this community. I'll have to post a video in the group Living in Arizona, which I just posted a link to. But I thought that was a pretty nice area, northeast Mesa, near the Usury Mountains in the foothills. If you're in the low-lying areas, like you start coming down off the foothills down into Ellsworth, off Ellsworth, you hit up right when you get past McKellips, before you get to Eastmark. You have some Apache Junction style old homes, which is like the mobile homes. Nothing against mobile homes, but some of you guys want to live in mobile homes. You can find that few and far between in Apache Junction. But I would say East Mesa is a good place to check out. I like Gilbert. Now, obviously, some of this stuff changes because they're building up these areas. So this time next year, when they build up things, my new favorite place could be a whole different place because they've just built this new great place. But right now, I would say East Mesa, Gilbert, Northwest Phoenix, Peoria area. That's pretty good. We're talking north of Bell Road, okay? North of Union Hills, not the north area where it's Bell Road and 19th Avenue or Bell Road and Central, okay? Because some of you guys are like, North Phoenix? Well, yeah, you got to go past the BS. What's your thought on North Peoria? It's good. Do it. If you're already looking at North Peoria, do it. North Phoenix is good. Like I said, you got to be north of the riffraff. in the new areas. You'll know you're in the good areas because it's all brand new construction everywhere. Yeah, Chandler's really good. I mean, I showed you guys in the group I posted. I don't know if I haven't made a video about Ocotillo, but there's a community in Chandler that's pretty nice. They have a main campus for IBM, IBM software. So when they build these like big data houses for Google and whatnot, they want to create like nice housing communities to attract people, so that they also like quality people want to work at these big time facilities. And IBM, because it's a big time facility, they also created Ocotillo right next to it to make sure that people are living a healthy, hearty life and happy in a nice place, safe. Ocotillo and Chandler is really nice. It's another place that's pretty decent that you could check out. It's older, but it's Val Vista Lakes in Mesa. If you're 55 and over, check out Sun Lakes in Chandler. Sun Lakes is pretty good. It's right next to the Gila River Indian Reservation. And you can even take an Uber to the Gila River Casino. Now, don't pretend like you don't like going to casinos, because that's another thing to do. Casinos, someone said, I don't know how to gamble. You don't know how to gamble. You don't know how to put the money in the machine and say, big money, big money, big money. That's all you got to do. North Phoenix up central is nice. Lots of nice homes built in the 40s. I worked downtown and explored up there the other day, just south of Sunny Slope. Yeah, that's I think that's called Encanto area you're talking about. Encanto, there is areas in between there. There's areas in Central Phoenix that are really nice, like Arcadia, like the Biltmore area, like Encanto. Check out those places. Encanto, some would call Encanto by official definition, Midtown Phoenix. Old money, yeah. I mean, that's the old plantation home, so to speak, where like, people had like orchards and stuff like that. So they would live right there. That was back when Phoenix was so small. We're talking in the 40s and the 50s. And they'd have orchards in their backyards, and that's where the big money was. And that's the community of Encanto. If you really want to live in Central Phoenix, check out Encanto. I don't have any videos that I've posted about Encanto yet, but I can. And then if you want to be in the downtown heart of it all, you could check out Roosevelt Row. You could check out downtown. Some people like downtown. They've got new high rises being built. And then there's Tempe. What about Tempe? Tempe, you're right next to the party life. They got, what's that place where they have what is it called? Fat Tuesdays. You ever go to Fat Tuesdays? They're all across America, right? You go in there and they got like 50 different alcohols, slushies to choose from. They've got like the hurricane, the tornado. Like the tornado's blue, the hurricane's red, and then they got like the mango jammer or something like that. And you drink them and they get you, you drink them in Key West. They got one in Vegas. They got one in Tempe. Fat Tuesdays, go check it out. Fat Tuesdays has a really good party vibe. I like it. So if you're living in Tempe, that's where I would be hanging out most of the time. It's probably Fat Tuesdays. Is Ahwatukee still pretty nice? Is it starting to go downhill? Haven't been out for a while. I think Ahwatukee is still pretty nice. I mean, the homes out there are still like, 20 and 30 years old, maybe 40 years old, some of them. Ahwatukee is still pretty nice. The roads, the roads got a little bit beat up, and they need to go back over it with some pavement or some asphalt. Other than that, I think Ahwatukee is still a pretty good place. Ahwatukee is right next door to Guadalupe, and then there's Tempe. And in Tempe, you've got Arizona Mills, Tempe Marketplace. You've got Big Surf, Gulfland Sunsplash. You've got Mill Avenue. Rio Salado, you can go hiking up the mountains around there, South Mountain. Tempe's good living too, a little bit closer to everything. Just depends on your budget. What's your budget? You want to know? You got to say what's your budget. But if you got $1 million or more, anywhere, man, Phoenix is your oyster. Have at it. Hey Jeff, have you checked out Casa Lucero in Goodyear yet? No, I have not. Casa Lucero in Goodyear. Wow. Casa. I'm not as up to pace with Southwest Phoenix. So let me take a look. Okay, so that is a community. Okay, you're talking about Estrella Mountain Ranch. I've been to Estrella Mountain. Is that where that's at, in Estrella? Okay, so yeah, it's near Estrella Mountain. Actually, it's more towards So this Costa Lucero is where people who are in the Air Force would live. So this is like a Air Force community. It's so close to Luke Air Force Base, and how many troops are stationed at Luke Air Force Base? Some of them would live in a place like Casa Lucero. And Air Force is the Air Force, also known as the Chair Force, as we used to call them in the Navy. Don't tell them I told you that, but they call them the Chair Force because they sit down, they push buttons, and they say, "Okay, I'm going to push this button and blow up that building." There's something like that. I don't know. But they're like the country club of the military. You got Marines. Marines, their barracks are horrible. Army barracks are horrible. Navy barracks are okay, but we live on ships most of the time. Air Force, always man, they got like staterooms, even as an enlisted. So being that it's next to the Air Force Base, pretty good community out there. The Air Force Base really keeps that area pretty healthy. Darren Knox says, I always like Darren, every time Darren Knox comments, it's going to be something negative. So everyone prepare. How do I know this? Because Darren Knox has commented on about 50 videos. And thank you, Darren, for all your comments. But so everyone just be ready. Here comes a negative comment. I'm willing to bet on it. I think he said one positive thing. Not only is Arizona boring, but a few years ago, Money Magazine or Forbes ranked Gilbert, Mesa, and Chandler as one of the most boring cities in America. Thank you, Darren. See, hey, at least you know what, Darren, he's going to give you the brutal, honest opinion, right? All right. And then Andrew H. responds to Darren. Darren, you must have never been to southern U.S., Mississippi, where I'm from. There is literally nothing to do. It's so rural and backwards. Larry is in, the dog park, which is my backyard. He was actually just in here, but because if he was in here, he would be walking around and get bored if we do an hour live stream. That's good. Darren Kroc is his name. Oh, Darren, I mean, what's wrong with the truth? I mean, you don't attack anyone by telling the truth. You're just like, hey, it's not that interesting. Hey, good thing, Peter Brown. Welcome. New Mexico is probably the Mississippi of the West. Okay, yeah, a lot of people say that they don't like. They say they don't like New Mexico because there's nothing to do when it's got high crime. By the way, I saw on Facebook, CBS posted an article about the 50 most dangerous cities in America, and there was 3 cities in Arizona that made the list, but none of them were in the top 20. And I think they said Phoenix was the most dangerous, followed by Tucson, and then number 3 was Mesa. And just to put it into perspective, top 3 most dangerous cities, number 1 was St. Louis, and they said St. Louis, oh my gosh, the homicide rate in St. Louis out of 100,000 people was like 37. Phoenix, which was the highest for us, was 10 out of 100,000. So they go on this per capita thing. So apparently St. Louis really it was either 37 or 137. St. Louis homicide rate. Oh man, I don't even know. Maybe you guys can help me with that. But then the number 2 one was, I think it was Memphis or New Orleans. Baltimore. Baltimore was number 2, and then number 3 was like Memphis or New Orleans. But Phoenix, I mean, when you compare it, like what we discovered was that those other cities are like three times more dangerous than Phoenix and Tucson and whatnot. So, but California was on the list a lot. New York was on the list, so it's like if you're a big city, you're going to be on the list. Like Dallas was on the list, Houston, San Diego was on the list, but nothing really that stood out too bad. But they did say that Phoenix was more dangerous than the rest. No, I know California is a state. I'm saying a lot of California was on the list. East of St. Louis in Illinois is very dangerous, is what Burning Asphalt said. I don't know what Oakland was. Andrew says he'd take Arizona over Mississippi all day. Mississippi's cool. I mean, it's got the Mississippi River. It's got Natchez. It's got some history. It's got some culture. That's about it, right? Moving to Arizona in a year, says Peter Brown. Where are you moving from? Saw way too many homeless people all over the place. Pretty creepy, says Gloria Bass. What place are you talking about, Gloria? Help me reach 20,000 subs without any videos, said. Hey, Jeff, what's the crime rate of Gilbert, honestly? The crime rate of Gilbert, honestly, is very, very low, honestly. Gilbert, is there even crime in Gilbert? Like, seriously, like, Gilbert is so safe. Gilbert is super safe. I would say Gilbert's got to be one of the safest places in all the country. I mean, Gilbert is safe, secure. 71 people watching, 40 up likes. Thanks to everyone who liked the video so far. And thanks to everyone who's been watching. If you haven't already hit the like button, please. That helps get the video out to more people. I'm thinking of Queen Creek. What are your thoughts? I think Queen Creek's pretty good. If you're thinking Queen Creek, you might as well consider East Mesa because it's basically the same thing. I mean, all it is Queen Creek is just a little further south than Mesa. But if you just go basically up Ellsworth. So Ellsworth is like, if you go downtown Queen Creek, which they're building up, Ellsworth is the road that goes through downtown Queen Creek. And if you take Ellsworth all the way up, it goes to the Saguaro Lake, or to Saguaro Lake and the Salt River. But in between there is, well, south of the Salt River is going to be the Usury Mountain Pass, which is, a state recreational park. And then right there, you come into the foothills of North Mesa, and then you keep going south on the same road, you come to Cadence and Eastmark. So those are really nice communities. But if you keep going a little bit further south, you pass the airport, Mesa Phoenix Gateway International Airport, you eventually come to Queen Creek. And Queen Creek is, so when you're in Mesa, you look south, you see the Santan Mountains. You look north and you see if you look north, you see the Usury Mountains. You look east, you see the Superstition Mountains. Hey Jeff, where's the list you found? For what? Oh, it was on CBS News. Just type it. It must have been a new. It must have been a new list for. So type in most dangerous places in America 2019 into Google. What does it cost for a cheap round of golf? Is it different pricing during snowbird season? So right now, Arizona or Phoenix right now, you can get a really good cheap round of golf. They have what they call the twilight rate, which is like after 3 or 4, and it cuts significantly in half, but you might not get in 18 holes because they call it the twilight rate because you golf until the sun goes down. I've golfed plenty twilight rates, which is basically half the price. I think they even have it year round, but in the summertime, I think it's best to golf in the morning or in the afternoon. If you golf in the late afternoon, you could get some really good prices on the golf courses that still have green grass because some of them don't still have green grass. Tiffany said, be careful in Tempe at night. Tempe can be a little bit scary. Tempe, it's where there's young people, it attracts the party vibe and attracts, that type of crowd. And sometimes people party and spend too much time partying and they forget they have responsibilities and then they get in desperate situations and then they do things like that. Tempe does have that, so does Central Phoenix. And so does a lot of West Phoenix. And then Stellar Cheese says, a place is as boring as one makes it. That's absolutely true. And if you're just tuning in, Stellar Cheese, to this video, that's what we were talking about when we first got into it, was if you're moving to Arizona, it's going to be an acquired, you're going to have to relearn what's fun. And some of the things that are fun here is going to be off-road, driving off-road, off-roading, boating on the lakes, getting wave runners, jet skis, and going to the lake, spending time at the river instead of at the ocean, spending time understanding the desert rather than a forest, or just your appreciation of what what you like is going to change. And once you're able to shift your appreciation of things and find beauty in the new things, you'll be like, hey, this is pretty exciting. This is pretty fun. It's like some people would say the desert's beautiful. Other people would say, heck no, it's not. But sometimes you watch a couple sunsets, watch a couple desert blooms, see a couple bits of wildlife. Next thing you know, you're like, hey, the desert's kind of beautiful. It might even be, it's beautiful in its own unique way, just like the forest or just like the coastal bluffs of Big Sur in California or Washington. So it's an acquired taste. And then you're just going to have the things to do for the kids: splash pads, trampoline parks. We got all that, water parks, golfing, some kids like that, little league. You should have your kids in something, whether it be martial arts, little league, basketball, dance, whatever they like to do, music. They got all that here. Okay. So, I mean, if kids are bored in Arizona with all that sunlight, maybe they need video games, I guess. Don Juan says the desert is beautiful. That's for sure. There is definitely some beautiful desert. I mean, the foothills, the mountains are where it's beautiful. Oh, there you go. Another person said crypto. What do you say? Crypto Lock XRP said shooting. That's always fun. So yeah, shooting guns can be really fun. Love 68 Passion. Is Glendale really rough? It can be. Yeah. They got this road that goes right through Glendale on the way up to Sun City from downtown. It's called Grand Avenue. Go cruise Grand Avenue for a little bit at around about 3 o'clock in the afternoon and see what you think. If you really want to move to Glendale, see what you think about Grand Avenue. Start there, because you're going to go diagonally. It goes, what is that? Horizontal? I forget. Any space. Wow, 48 likes. Thanks to everyone who liked the video. And 72 people watching. I got a good comment that just came in. Oh man, any spots in the valley that would be nice romantic place to take my girlfriend for our anniversary? Well, there's a downtown Scottsdale's pretty good. For your anniversary, what most people in Phoenix do is they leave. I'm thinking like, what do most people do for their anniversary? They go to the Caribbean, they go to Mexico, Cancun, Cabo, San Diego, usually. But if you're staying here for your anniversary, it's going to be one of the many amazing restaurants that we have. And it depends what time of year is it too, because the Desert Botanical Garden is pretty nice. But mostly it's going to be a restaurant, I would say, or a casino. Stay at a casino or go up to Flagstaff for the weekend, go up to the White Mountains, go up to the high country, Pine Top Lakeside in the White Mountains, maybe 7,000 feet up there. It's pretty high up there. Do you have any experience with Austin, Texas, and how it stacks up against Phoenix area? I'm debating both. Good question. That's a really good question. I don't have much experience with Austin. I know that they're both competing for Silicon Valley industry. So Mesa, Arizona is trying to get some of these California companies from Silicon Valley to resettle out here where it's more affordable for their people to live. And because they're getting priced out of Silicon Valley. And I would say it's comparable. I mean, you have to look at the cost of living. Let me take a look. So let's compare Austin. It's a good comparison. I mean, it's either Austin or San Antonio versus Phoenix. Austin versus Phoenix cost of living. Let's take a look here and see. I think Austin's going to be a little bit more expensive. So that could be a factor to take into consideration. So over $100,000